Welcome to Love and the Bug.
I'm Rianne.
And I'm Sammy.
And we've been friends for over 20 years.
When COVID-19 pandemic began, we decided to get our heads together and find out from friends how they were really coping in this awful pandemic.
We were especially interested in how it was affecting their relationships. So we thought we'd get a few of them together and interview them. They're all of similar age, but all with very different stories and experiences.
We hope you enjoy it.
In this episode, we talked to Edel Kavanagh. In her previous life, she worked in television, now a restaurant owner and full-time mum. She explains how falling in love on holiday has meant dividing her time between her native island and Cuba. Here she is.
So my name's Edel Kavanagh and I'm in Laois, Ireland at the moment. And I just turned 40.
Right.
I'm fine about it. I'm absolutely fine about it.
And Edel, when did you turn 40?
I turned 40 in February, on the 20th of February. And I was in Cuba at the time with my husband and my little girl, Marley. And we spent the day on the beach and we had a cake that said 25 because they were the only candles I could find.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it was lovely. It was really low key and just
That must
nice.
feel like a lifetime ago now with everything that's happened. So do you actually live in Cuba?
Yeah, so it feels like about 100 years ago. So I kind of live between Ireland and Cuba. So I moved to Cuba about 5 years ago. And my husband and his family have a restaurant there. They live in this really nice big colonial house. And they decided one day to just use the space to its full potential and start a restaurant. And things were beginning to change. Obama had come into power. He had changed loads of rules to make it easier for Americans to travel. And it was new horizons were opening. So we were kind of at that stage. We were like 35. We were like, are we going to do this for the rest of our lives, or are we going to try and do something else? So the opportunity was there, so we took it. So we headed off to Cuba and opened the restaurant, and started very well. It was going very well, and everything was going great up until there's so many obstacles in Cuba, so many obstacles. Everything is scarce. It's really hard to find produce. It's an all day, every day scavenging for things. And when Trump came into power, it was even harder because he put in place more sanctions and it was even more difficult to get things. But everybody, Cubans are resilient. They have been for 60 years. So they just take it as it comes and bat it back. Never in our wildest dreams did we think that a virus would take over the world and stop everything, literally stop everything. So before the virus had really hit, my mum came for a 2-week holiday, and I was 12 weeks pregnant with my second baby. So I said, I'll come back to Ireland with you, and because I'll have the baby here like I did the last time. And literally a week later, all the schools were closed, all the parks were closed, everything was closed. And I've just kind of been here since. And I get up in the morning and I'm like, oh no, still there.
Yeah. So how long were you supposed to be in Ireland before going back?
Probably I was supposed to go back next Wednesday, so May 6th. I came here on February 25th, so I thought I would have about 8 weeks in Ireland, a couple of months, get everything done. And then I had arranged that it was no problem to go back for another couple of months to Cuba, get a bit of vitamin D, come back here, have the baby. Yeah. So now I don't think I'm going to go back at all.
No.
Yeah.
So have they completely stopped flights back, or are you able to get back if you needed to?
No, I can't. I can't. So,
wow.
so Cuba has shut down. You can't go in and you can't go out.
Edel, where's Manny?
Manny is in the house in Cuba, and he's doing all the work we've been putting off for 5 years. So all those things that you could only do when there's no one in the house, he is doing. So he spent the guts of a month, 5 weeks working on the house, just ripping it apart, painting, just refurbishing, reinstalling, wiring, everything. So he's nearly finished now. He'll have about a week more to do. And then he's just like, when can I go? Because obviously he misses us, and he wants to be here as well. And the plan was that he would come here for about 3 weeks for a visit, and then we'd all go back together. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen for a while. And it's one of those things where you have to just, we speak every day, and it's like, have you heard anything? No, I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything? Is anything opened up that end? No. Is anything up that end? No. And it's before any decisions can really be made, you have to know something, and we just know nothing, because
it just feels like everything's in limbo, and we can't plan, we can't arrange anything. We're just literally waiting.
Well, yeah, as they say, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and everybody keeps coming up with them, and actually nobody knows anything. So you have to just let nature take its course and see what happens. And probably another month or 6 weeks that we could actually go, okay, well, we could get into what's going to happen and our hypothesis, but let's not.
So it's pointless, isn't it?
Edel, you're pregnant.
Absolutely pointless.
You're pregnant, and your husband's in Cuba, and you're living at your mum's in Ireland with your daughter. How old is Marley?
Marley will be 2 in June.
Wow. That's not
She's
your everyday
great
situation, is it? Not really.
It's not common, not common, but it was just how it happened. I guess if I hadn't been 12 weeks pregnant when my mum arrived, I'd just still be in Cuba now. Mm-hmm. But the pregnancy threw another put another something else in the equation. So in a way, it's better to be here at the moment than there, because I have my checkups and everything. My mum is great with Marley, loves having her here. So there are worse situations, I've been in worse situations.
I suspect if you were in Cuba, you'd probably be worried about your mum. You'd be thinking, I want to be there with mum in case, Yeah,
well, she lives on her own, but my sister lives up the road. But if you're doing it properly, then you have no contact with those people. You only have contact with the unit where you live. So I just arrived a week beforehand, and we're just kind of in it together now until they lift restrictions, which they're probably going to do in a couple of weeks' time. But it probably sounds worse than it is, or maybe later I'll think about it and go, fuck, that was awful.
I think sometimes, and I think we all do this in sort of crisis situations. We don't realize how bad things are for us. Well, not bad, but we're in situations that we haven't been in before, and we're using all of our resources mentally to get through it. And then when you come through it, you go, holy shit, that was really tough. But you protect yourself. You have this weird innate ability to be able to kind of shield yourself from the real demons, I suppose.
Yeah, it's self-preservation. It totally is self-preservation, just to you take one day at a time, and you don't think about anything too much, because you have absolutely no answers to anything except maybe what's for lunch or dinner. And you just, I mean, I find myself, sometimes you can stop yourself from thinking about it, sometimes you just can't help yourself think about it. For example, at 2 o'clock in the morning when you can't get back to sleep.
Yeah.
That's a classic, oh my God, everything's falling apart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then you wake up in the morning and it's all grand. You just get on with it. It's fine.
So Edel, tell us about Manny. How did you meet? How did it all begin?
It all began, I went 10 years ago on my holidays with a friend of mine to Cuba. And I had wanted to go to Cuba for years. I had huge romantic notions about it. And I got there, and I was in Havana. I think it was for it was New Year's. We were there for New Year's. And then we decided, right, Cuba's not great for traveling, as in the buses are rickety and the roads are bad. So just pick one more place. We'll go there and we'll stay there for the rest of the holiday. So we decided to go to Trinidad. And there's this beautiful place called the Casa de la Musica, the music house, where you go and you sit and you listen to like music all day and you have a beer, and it was lovely. And Manny was sitting in front of us on the steps, and he turned around, he goes, "Where are you from?" Blah, blah, blah. And we were like, who's this Dutch guy? Because he had a Dutch accent when he spoke English. And he was like, "Oh no, we told him that we were Irish and blah, blah, blah." And that he was actually Cuban, and he was there visiting his family for the Christmas and New Year's holidays. And we went off and had dinner, and he said, "Oh, come back, I'll get us a table and come back and we'll spend the evening together." So we went and had dinner, and I ate that dinner very fast and came back. And that was it. And we just hung out with him for the rest of the holiday, and yeah, it was fab. That was it.
Oh, that's so romantic. It's like a fairy tale.
And then he went back to Holland, where he was living, and I went back to London, where I was living, and then we were over and back for like a year. And then actually, when I think back, that was, you know, when a relationship is at that very beginning, where everything's so romantic and intense, and just like it all aches. That was probably worse than, you know, because you get into a relationship then, and then it's solid, and you know there's so much more involved. But that, you know, that initial kind of just intensity to a relationship.
Yeah, you just want to be inside them constantly. You can't get close enough.
You want to be with them 24/7, and just those departures and distances are so much worse, because there's so much left unanswered, because you don't know each other well enough. Whereas then 10 years later, you can kind of cope better with these things, because you've been through them before and you know each other better, and
you hate them.
And it's quite nice to have a break.
You can't fucking stand them. Yeah.
It's amazing. Time is just so kind to us like that.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It is funny though. I remember those days being awful, just awful. But it's again, not knowing, because you're not in a proper relationship yet. It's a bit of crack, you know?
Yeah. Oh. So how's your relationship going with your mum, spending so much time with her? Is it strained? Oh, is it good? Oh, lovely. Oh, no.
She's amazing.
Oh.
She really is amazing. You know, our days aren't hectic or anything, but I mean, I usually have the whole morning to myself. I have breakfast, then I come upstairs, I do a bit of emailing, whatever, have the chats. Then I go for a walk, because the weather is amazing at the moment. And she's you know, she's out in the garden, she's pottering around. Marley's there doing her thing with her. I think she's enjoying the bonding experience, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah. It works for everyone.
You guys go and bond,
Everybody's happy.
and I'll just crack open this bottle of wine.
Yeah. I wish.
Yeah, well, see, that's the other thing. Being
No
pregnant,
alcohol.
no alcohol. Being pregnant in
No.
lockdown.
Doesn't mean I don't think about it.
No. Well,
I'm actually really happy I'm not drinking, because I know at about 2:00 every day I'd be like, wouldn't mind now, will we have a glass at our lunch? We will, go on. And then, you know, and that makes you, I don't know, with my current situation, I don't think that would be particularly healthy, because it would send me into a deep funk. So I'm probably better off with chocolate.
It's a great alternative.
Tea and chocolate, yeah.
I'd say Manny would probably be tucking into the beers in Cuba. No.
He's not really, Samantha. He's just kind of, he's
Getting
not
on with
very
it.
good at being alone.
Oh.
He loves having people around him. He loves socializing, and I mean, we live in a restaurant, so we're constantly surrounded by people, and he loves that. He thrives on it. I mean, he'll have days where he goes, we'll just spend the day together and we'll go to the beach, and you won't be on the beach 5 minutes, but he'll have called 10 mates and they'll be there on the beach with you, you know. And it's like, okay, this is how he is. He just is like that. And it's the same with work. He always needs a project. He just needs to be occupied all the time.
Right. So with Cuba, are they actually isolating themselves? Are they in isolation, all of them, or have they had any cases in Cuba? Because I haven't heard of anything.
They have had cases in Cuba. They have, but not as many as, say, in Europe. They've had approximately, I think they're edging towards 1,000 cases, and they've only got only got their lives, but they've only got about 100 deaths or something like that. I mean, it's low. And I don't know if that's attributed to testing, lack of testing, or weather, or that everybody is quite isolated anyway outside of Havana. I really don't know. I don't understand what's happening in the world, that some countries are hit more than others. But Cuba is very good in a crisis at making arrangements to lock things down, get things organized, and be very strict about what they're doing, which is exactly what you need in a situation like this. So, you know, and every country has different rules. Like in Ireland, you can't go more than 2 kilometers from your house. In Cuba, you can't go outside without a mask on. You know, things like that. They've all got their rules in place, but they're coping very well, I think.
Yeah. I think generally in the UK, we've just had such contradictory information and guidelines that I think people are just confused and they don't know what to do for the best. So they're all, you know, they're out, they're in, they're meeting up with people as long as they're 2 meters apart. They're, you know, some people haven't left the house in a month. I just don't think there's any hard and fast rules, and it's confusing for people, and I think that's probably why we're in such a mess. I don't think the government have really dealt with it very well. Like you say, in Cuba, they used to crisis, and they're strict about it, and people just adhere to that, and they just play by the rules, and I think that makes a big difference.
I mean, it's all about how a country decides to deal with it. I mean, everywhere has, you know, I'm dying to see what happens in Sweden, just because they don't do anything. They're just, my sister-in-law is Swedish, and she says that, you know, they're social isolating. As a population, they're probably a little more disciplined than we are. And they will, you know, do the 2 meters thing, but they will also do it and get on with their lives. And they're still going for dinner. They're still sitting out in patios and having a wine. They're still out and about. Their shops are still open. So I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to know.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you just got to be responsible for yourself and the people around you and do what you think is right. I mean, I think if the restrictions were all lifted tomorrow and everything opened, I think I'd still be doing my shopping once a week and doing my best not to bring it into the house so my mother doesn't catch it, you know.
Yeah. And you know, you're vulnerable, you're pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. I am vulnerable. I'd say I'd have more of a chance. I'd probably deal with it better than she would. So I feel very conscious of that and responsible for that. So
that's a real dilemma, isn't it? A real health dilemma. You're pregnant, your mum's over 70.
Yeah.
You know, who in their wildest dreams would ever have thought that you'd be having a conversation and saying, oh no, I'll go to the supermarket. You know, it's just...
Oh yeah, I go to the supermarket. She doesn't go anywhere. She just goes for a walk every day. I go to the supermarket, I bring it back, I put it all on newspaper, I take it out, I get a J-cloth, I stick a bit of bleach on it, I wipe everything down, I pick up the newspaper, I put it in the bin, I wash my hands, that's it for a week. Like, it's fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
It's absolutely bonkers. And you do think, like, my husband, Manny, loves these films, these doomsday, you know, the world is ending films, and I hate them. I hate the sight of them. I'm like, you know, people in bunkers eating tins of beans and they haven't been out in 50 years.
And here we are living it.
And here I am living and breathing it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
how do you feel about hospitals though, Edel? Like, are you needing to go with checkups and things?
No, so far I haven't. I have an obstetrician who has her own private clinic, so she does a 1 in, 1 out. You ring when you arrive, and they say just when you see the lady in the striped top walking out, then you can come in. You sanitize your hands, and yeah, it's fine. That's a 1-on-1 situation. But I will have to tomorrow. Actually, I'm going for the 20-week scan, so I will have to go to the hospital. But apparently, where I am, there are no one in the maternity unit has COVID-19 at the moment, and that's separate from the main hospital where there would be cases. So what can I do? I have to go, you know. All I can do is you know, not go in until my appointment is ready, and just wash my hands and, you know.
And try not to inject bleach or disinfectant.
No, I've been doing that. Didn't you hear it work? The leader of the free world told us.
We're so lucky we're not under Trump. That's all I can say.
It's just outrageous. I can't cope.
But you know what? Okay, obviously my dream is that in November he will be voted out. But it seems to me that no matter what he says, now this one's pretty good though. No matter what he says or does, they still follow him. They still love him, and it's just awful. And the other, that his opposition, the guy running against him, I'm not sure. Like, I keep wanting to email him or message him on Instagram and going, you need to up your game, dude. You need to get out there and get your face out there. But then it's like what they're doing here. I mean, we're forming a new government at the moment, and really all the opposition can do to make themselves heard is to contradict them. So you just sound like a moany bastard. And it's like, well, you're just moaning because you're not in power, and you just want people to listen to you. But nobody actually wants to listen to you. We just want leaders and medical people, and we want to be, we just want hard facts. We just don't want to hear about anyone who's, you know, wishy-washy. And that's what Joe Biden is at the moment. God love him. I don't know how he's going to run a campaign in this. But he's our only hope.
Yes, he really is.
He's our only hope. I mean, if he gets elected, it will be such a wonderful thing for Cuba, because he will be more lenient and he will lift restrictions. So we really need him.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, eh?
Yeah.
So how are you going to spend the day, Edel?
I'm going to go for a walk now, and then I'm going to go and get the Sunday papers, and then I'm going to have lunch. Then I might have a nap. So all feeling very strenuous so far.
It sounds idyllic.
And then I'll probably watch a film later on with Marley or something like that. Hang out with her for a while. That's all.
Sounds lovely. Well, thank you so much, Edel, for being on our podcast and telling us your amazing story about Cuba and Ireland and lockdown life. Stay well and strong.
Yeah, and we hope it all works out really soon and you get back there and you get reunited with Manny and the pregnancy goes well and your mum's fine and everybody lives happily ever after.
Oh yeah, it'll be fine. I mean, if I don't go back there, he'll come here, and it's all doable. We just need planes to be landing and taking off. That's all.
Yes.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved every second of it, lady.
Thank you very much.
It's so lovely talking to you. You're so gorgeous. Right, have a great day. Enjoy your walk.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
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 Thanks so much for listening to our podcast.
Check out the next episode for another one of our amazing mate stories.
See you next time.